all, and welcome to Chalk Talk, your source for Ohio State varsity athletics, news, updates, and analysis. I'm your host, Kaylee Rentz, coming to you from the Lantern TV studios in Columbus, Ohio. I'm joined by resident Buckeyes sports analyst, senior Lantern reporter Anna Chad Smith, and Lantern TV assistant sports director Aaron Yarian. This weekend was busy for the Buckeyes with men's soccer, women's volleyball, and men's and women's cross country all competing. We will, of course, have all the details and analysis of those games, but first, let's take a look at the Ohio State football team and how they matched up against the Kent State Golden Flashes. After suffering their first regular season loss under Coach Urban Meyer, the then number 22 Buckeyes took out their frustrations by dominating Kent State in a 66-0 blowout Saturday afternoon. It was redshirt freshman quarterback JT Barrett who led the team to 45 points in the first half. Ohio State finished the game with a season-high 628 total yards, and the Buckeye defense also showed their strength by holding Kent State to 126 yards and only allowing the Golden Flashes to cross the 50 one time. Guys, what's your take on the game?
The theme that we need to focus on here is that 66-0 sounds great. It looks good on paper. It doesn't tell the whole story. Aaron, we talked about how the fact that they went 8 for 12 on third down is an improvement, but it's not great. 66-0, you would assume they were perfect, and they weren't. What do you have to say on the topic?
Barrett obviously threw 6 touchdown passes. He wasn't sacked, however, he still threw an interception in the game.
Yeah, in the red zone, too. That's been almost a recurring problem for the Buckeyes. I mean, they're in the red zone. He makes a poor decision. I feel like he's checking down better, but he's still a work in progress. Now, fortunately, the offensive line is doing better at protecting him. Taylor Decker, we were able to speak with him after practice on Wednesday, and here's what he had to say about JT Barrett.
He's a really good leader. You know, he's calm, cool, and collected out there, and that kind of permeates through everybody else. Doing a great job at his job, and he has a ton on his plate. He's got, check plays, read coverages, stuff like that, make reads on ends. And I think he's done a great job.
So we just heard from Decker about the offensive line. One of the good improvements with the offensive line so far has been the fact that the tight end is being able to use his receiver instead of an extra blocker on the line. We have junior tight end Nick Van Nett. He had 4 receptions for 40 yards, and redshirt freshman Marcus Baugh, he had a reception. It was only for 2 yards, but it was also a touchdown strike.
But the good thing to be able to take away from this game is getting your second, third, and so on string players into this game, getting valuable reps and minutes. So 23 true and redshirt freshmen saw action on the field for the Buckeyes on Saturday. The H-backs finally getting some more involvement in the game. Jalen Marshall, Raekwon McMillan, these young guys are coming in and producing for a Buckeye team that if they continue to gel like this, they're going to be in good shape if they continue to do things the way they did on Saturday.
Yep, I agree. Freshman H-back Jalen Marshall, he had his 2 receptions, 10 yards, and another one of the 6 touchdowns that JT Barrett ended up throwing, which tied the school record set last year by Kenny Guyton.
So obviously this is the bye week this week, so we don't have a game to preview just yet, but as we talked about earlier, we were able to go to some of these post-practice interviews on Wednesday, and here, transitioning a little bit more to talking about the defense, here's what some of the players had to say about each other.
It was good to get them out there and get some game experience. It was a lot of fun. It was fun to see them grow and how far they've came, say, starting from summer and for Raekwon early winter. But it's a lot of fun, and they're going to continue to grow. We actually, regardless of the score in the Kent State game, we had some communication issues, but we're going to tighten that up, and we'll be ready for Cincinnati because it's going to be crucial, especially for the pass rush. Pass rush will benefit us defending our receivers.
And actually, they're making drastic improvements in practice. Like you see all the young guys start making more plays nowadays. The coaching staff has worked very hard on the offseason to try to improve the pass defense, and I've seen it in practice how far we've come. I mean, him and the D-line, with them doing their pass rush thing, it actually helps us out a lot. That's why I'm so confident about the game, because I'm so confident in my teammates and all the people that contribute to the defense. So that's why I'm not nervous about the game. I'm actually excited about it. Darren Lee just goes, man. He's like, I don't know, it's just like he got this energy in him. He goes out, he makes these big plays, and you see it in the game, but you also see it in practice. So he's not like somebody that just comes out of nowhere in the game. Like, well, I'm used to seeing him make these plays. So I definitely hold him to a high standard, just like he holds me to a high standard.
So on the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned a lot of the players that rotated in the second half in Kent State game. One of them, freshman linebacker Raekwon McMillan, kind of had a little bit of a breakout game with his 7 tackles and 2 sacks. But it's good to see that the defense is starting to gel a little bit. Coming up, the Cincinnati game in 2 weeks, they're going to have their actual first test with the dynamic passing offense. So we'll actually have more coverage next week as the team prepares to take on Cincinnati, and that'll be on September 27th at 6 p.m.
We're actually going to shift gears here now. Kaylee, what do you have for us in the realm of men's soccer?
Well, on Sunday, the men's soccer team actually started their Big Ten Conference with a 2-0 win against Northwestern Wildcats. Kyle Culbertson actually scored his first goal of the season off an assist from Yanni Saris. This was actually their best game yet. Kyle Culbertson was really the offensive leader, which we haven't seen a lot from him, and he expressed his thoughts on receiving his first career goal and about the Buckeyes receiving their first conference win.
I think to get that one, start off 1-0 in the conference, I think was big for us, and I think it's really exciting going here and stepping into the conference, knowing that we can step out here and challenge. I think we were a little underrated in the preseason rankings, and we're not too happy about it, but hopefully we'll continue to build on this. I know there's a lot of work still to be done. It feels good to beat him. He's a great keeper. Did well. I think he's a big guy. He's got a nice little wingspan on him. But I think Northwestern as a whole is usually a pretty good team. I think we've struggled with them a lot in the past. They work hard and they're well coached and they do a nice job, so it's good to get the win. It's overall, to not give up a shot, it's pretty good against a team that's had some pretty good results recently and started off this year pretty well.
Liam Doyle scored the second goal for the Buckeyes off a penalty kick to give them the 2-0 lead in the bottom of the second half. There was some confusion over the PK, and Doyle actually addressed it after the game.
Bit of mind games going on in the box because I took one last week or the week before, and one of the defenders said, you know where he's going, you watch him, so I just decided to go the other way, and it worked out, so happy with that. We felt like the ball was going in, so he handed it, so we felt like he should have been sent off, but the linesman seemed to think that the ball wasn't going in, so he just gave a yellow card, but you never know, it could have span in, and he could have been sent off easily there. The referee had a big decision, but with the PK already, I feel like we had enough of a success on the decision.
So the Buckeyes were really underranked in the preseason polls, and they really set out to kind of prove everybody wrong with this. So it was a really impressive game, super offensively minded, having Culbertson play out wide, the junior transfer from Akron University. The Buckeyes really held possession offensively the majority of this game, and that was really impressive. Senior Yanni Saris, who plays in the midfield alongside junior captain Zach Mason, they both just fed off each other's energy, and they played so well in the middle, kept possession. Liam Doyle, obviously, the forefront of that defense. He's one of the best players out there on the field. And the Buckeyes are now 1-0 in the Big Ten, and they will go to take on Penn State in Pennsylvania, who last year made it to the third round of the NCAA tournament before being knocked off by New Mexico in a 2-0 loss.
But let's change gears here and go to women's soccer. Kaylee, what do you have for us?
Well, this weekend, the Lady Buckeyes started their Big Ten play by taking on Indiana and Purdue. Friday, the Buckeyes beat the Hoosiers with an overtime win, and on Sunday, they lost to the Boilermakers 3-1.
Captain Ellen Gruber had this to say about the team's performance and what they were able to take away from it.
We didn't play our best soccer the Friday night, but we managed to come out with the win because we continued to work hard the whole game, and we kept fighting. We never gave up, and even when things aren't going well, like, we have to remember that we still have it, and we can still win, and so that was good to take from. And then Sunday, I think that we had some really good moments. Like, the first half, we dominated the game. So we have to take away those moments from the game and then have to move on from the goals we gave up. Everyone has been really vocal this year. It's not just one person. We have people from freshmen, sophomores, juniors. Everyone is contributing. So I think that helps a lot from each line, especially. There's people that are in the back line that are talking, not just seniors, not just captains, people in the midfield line talking and connecting, and the forward line is Sammy's brings a lot of energy too, so it helps.
And Gruber herself, being a senior leader, and she's such a versatile player that she can really play any position, but she's having her job be made easier by the fact that these freshmen, sophomores, and so on are stepping up. Now, referencing the Purdue loss and the win over Indiana, which, noteworthy, Laurie Walker's 200th victory as the head coach of Ohio State women's soccer. So congratulations to Coach Walker there. But she had this to say about not only the team's road trip into Indiana, but also what to expect from Penn State.
Friday night, we made it exciting. .02 left on the clock. We were able to draw a penalty kick and then get a win in overtime. I think is a credit to show our resiliency and our willingness to fight and compete to the last minute in the game. So for that, I'm really proud of our team. Against Purdue, I think that we came out and were productive in the first 25 minutes, and then there was a significant fall off. We struggled a little bit in the midfield to find open spaces, and so we started playing a little more direct than we like to. Well, Penn State for us is always one of the games we enjoy the most. From a coaching perspective, I have a tremendous amount of respect for their staff, and that game is always a bit of a chess match. I make one move, they make a counter move, they make a move, I make a counter move, and so it's a very enjoyable game.
So as we just heard from Coach Laurie Walker, they're facing a stout test in Penn State this weekend. Freshman forward Sammy Edwards, whom we've previously mentioned, had this to say about what the team is facing during that road trip.
They're, really physical, and so definitely the back line, but also the attack we've been working on recently because we found ways that we can attack teams in the Big Ten, and that will be beneficial. We're definitely looking at counterattacks and just going to goal and those kind of when those opportunities are given to us.
So the men's and women's soccer teams will be this weekend in State College, Pennsylvania, to face the Nittany Lions. Andrew, what about women's field hockey? They were at home this weekend.
They were, yes. So after a 1-0 loss in Athens, Ohio to the University of Ohio Bobcats, the field hockey team hosted Ball State, MAC team, the Cardinals, and they were able to come away with a 3-2 victory in overtime. So Annabelle Sams came up big for the Buckeyes on Sunday. She actually had a very good performance in Athens. She had 2 shots on goal, 4 shots total. But anyway, she came up big on Sunday, scoring the 2 goals that put the Buckeyes ahead. But Ball State showing some resolve in trying to battle back into this game, scoring 2 goals late in the second half. They really showed that they could play with a Big Ten team that's really battling for its place within this conference and trying to gain some confidence moving forward. But it was good to see such a physical and well-contested match on Sunday. Coach Ann Wilkinson had this to say about the performance of her team.
I think we started out really fast, and we caught Ball State on their heels, which really gave us a good start. And Annabelle Sams, freshman, she came out strong, got us on the board early. But Ball State's strong. They never stopped playing. They came back after us, and they made it a game for us. And we were able to get corners. We just weren't able to finish them. Fortunately, we were able to come with a great goal in the overtime.
Liz Tamburro, the freshman goalkeeper, another star of this team, really stepping up, had this to say about how well her defense communicates and the role that she played in both of these games.
Ours, at Athens we played so well, power passing game, we were so close, we just didn't finish. That was our main thing for this game, was just to come here and finish the game, and that's exactly what we did. So we had to come together back as a team. I think we got a little separated, once they scored the first goal and the second goal, but then it was we regrouped and we were able to come back and communicate, pass well, and finally finish. So it's hard to stay focused in the game. I try to keep moving around, keep staying focused, communicating. That's what keeps me in the game. Or else, exactly, it's really hard to focus when it's I don't touch the ball for a really long time.
So as you can see, Liz Tamburro commenting on the fact that she gets a little antsy when the ball is skewed towards the forward half of the field. Her team obviously able to help her out, and it's good to see the Lady Buckeyes communicating so well, being led by a freshman. So that's how they fared this weekend. Their next matchups are going to be against Michigan State at home on Friday, so today, and then they will be taking on the Mountaineers of Appalachian State on Sunday. So we'll have to see how they match up against those 2 teams.
Well, that's all the time we have for field hockey, but Aaron, tell us a little bit about the OSU women's volleyball team.
Well, over the weekend, the women's volleyball team participated in the Millennium Hotel Invitational in Cincinnati. Last Friday, they defeated the Syracuse Orange in 5 sets, but fell to the Ohio Bobcats in 3 sets to 1, but bounced back against the Xavier Musketeers in another 5-set series. Here's what Coach Carlson had to say about his team following the tournament.
we're getting a little more comfortable with our offense, getting a little more comfortable with our defense. I think our serving still, we can get a little tougher with our serving. I think we have it's a weapon that I think can stress some teams out. But we're on the road for a while. Like, we're only home once in the next 6 weeks. So, but it was nice to be able to be in our own bed Saturday night.
So 2 of the players in the Millennial Tournament that received honors were sophomore middle blocker Taylor Sandbothy and senior outside hitter Aaron Seckinger. Both of those were named to the All-Tournament team in Cincinnati. Sandbothy had 52 kills and 65 points, while Seckinger, brought her up last week, someone to look forward to, she had 45 kills and 8 service aces. So serving was a key point that we had mentioned in preseason and throughout the game so far. Coach Carlson and players talked about it, seeing improvements in the serving. But here's what Aaron Seckinger had to say on Wednesday prior to practice about how success in the last tournament is going to translate into future success with the Big Ten.
Big Ten is like no other conference. We see bigger blocks, bigger hitters, tougher servers. So being able to play those girls brought us to a good spot where our team is to go into starting Big Ten with Minnesota on Wednesday.
The Buckeyes look to improve their 6-3 record before Big Ten play when they head to Oxford, Ohio for the Miami University Invitational. They'll face the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and Purdue University of Indianapolis, and Miami, Ohio. Another player that I was able to catch up with before practice on Wednesday was sophomore setter Maggie Haim, and she basically just talked about her role in the team and some of the prep work going forward.
As a setter, I'm kind of the quarterback of the team. Taylor Sherwood and I are together. So that involves knowing every one of our teammates and knowing when they're up and when they're down and how to get them going, how to get them fired up or to calm them down when they're too hyped. So it's really just being a quarterback on the court. And you got to manage your game, but you got to manage everyone else's as well.
So hearing from some of the players and Coach Carlston, what seems to be the outlook moving forward as they pursue the heart of their Big Ten schedule?
Well, Andrew, the Miami University tournament is the last big hurrah before starting into the Big Ten play. And over the course of 2 weeks following this tournament, they have 4 away games. First one being in Minnesota, then they go to Wisconsin, and then finally Iowa and Nebraska before coming home to St. John Arena in the middle of October. So travel time and distance is going to play heavily on their stamina, so to speak, before they even come back home again. So the Road Warriors will finally return mid-October.
Well, it seems like it's going to be a challenging slate there for the women's volleyball team, but let's transition now to cross country. What do you guys have?
Well, the men's cross country team finished third this weekend in Kentucky with a score of 92. Ohio State was actually led by freshman Nick Ellswick, who posted a ninth place finish. The other Buckeyes that placed in the top 20 were Clayton Bowie and Adrian Ross. Now, the women's team, that was the impressive team of the weekend. They received first place in Kentucky this weekend with a score of 39. The team was led by an individual title from senior All-American Katie Borchers. Borchers received her personal best time of 16:35.90 for a 5K, while also receiving Big Ten Athlete of the Week. Now, that is fast.
We were in awe of her just over 18 time, was it last time?
Yeah, it was over 18.
And she blew that out of the water. I mean, Katie Borcher is absolutely getting it done for the Buckeyes.
I can't even drive that fast in Columbus.
So the men's and women's cross-country teams have a little bit of a break before their next competitions. The women will be traveling to Notre Dame, Indiana to compete in the Notre Dame Invitational on October 3rd, and the men will be next competing the same day that the football team takes on Cincinnati. They'll be traveling to the Roy Griak Invitational in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we'll have to see how they fare in those races in the coming weeks. So if we want to transition a little bit to golf and how those teams have been doing, what do you guys have for us in that department?
Well, the men's golf team will actually continue playing their season this weekend at the Wyndham Memorial in Illinois this weekend. The women will also be traveling. They're going to be going to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and they'll be playing in the East and West match play. But the women's golf team did have a little bit of news this week with Rio Watanabe, and she was named co-golfer of the week. After competing in her first collegiate tournament, she led her team, Ohio State, to their 98th team title in the school's history. So great for her.
Yeah, Watanabe continuing. We talked about her being medically redshirted and having that huge win in her first outing and continuing to produce and be honored by the Big Ten. So it's good to see.
Another thing to look forward to next week is that we're going to have an interview, a sit down with Logan Stieber, the wrestling team, who is preseason ranked number 1, 141-pound weight class, 3-time national champion. So we'll actually have that interview done by Kaylee next week, and as they get ready to prepare for their season, which begins in mid-November.
Well, that will be a great feature for us to have for our viewership next week, but that is all the time we have this week on Chalk Talk. Be sure to catch the BNN Buckeye News Now update on Mondays and the Sports Perspective segment on Tuesdays for all your latest on Buckeye athletics. Aaron, would you like to plug our social media?
Don't forget to follow at Chalk Talk OSU on Twitter, and also join the conversation with hashtag CTOSU. And don't forget to tune in next week.
Well, I'm Kaylee Renz for Andrew Todd Smith and Aaron Urian. Thank you and goodbye.